Hello and welcome to our brand new show, Firstpost Spotlight, where we bring you stories that matter to you from all across the world. From breaking news to the day's biggest controversies, we shed light on issues that shape our world. I'm Alison Lagrange, live from Durban, South Africa. Let's begin with the top headlines. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to visit Saudi Arabia on Wednesday, a day after planned meetings between Russian and US officials. Zelensky says he has no plans to meet officials of either country. Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, sparks concerns after it seeks access to the US tax system, which contains the financial data of millions of Americans. Lebanon urges sponsors of a ceasefire deal between Israel and Hezbollah to help pressure Israel to withdraw troops by the deadline set in the agreement. A fragile ceasefire between the two has been in place since November last year. Mauritius' former Prime Minister freed on bail in a money laundering probe. The 63-year-old leader, along with his wife, were detained on Saturday. And South Korea suspends new downloads of Chinese AI DeepSeek. This as the Chinese chatbot fails to adhere to Seoul's data protection authorities' rules. Hello and welcome. We begin in the Indian capital of New Delhi. It was just another quiet morning until the clock struck 5:36 a.m. local time. A sudden earthquake hit the national capital and neighboring areas. According to the National Center for Seismology, or the NCS, the earthquake measured 4 on the Richter scale, and its epicenter was Delhi's Dolkhan area. Now, the tremors were felt across the national capital region. People reported feeling the ground shaking hard. Some said that they heard a strange rumbling sound. Many, saying in high-rise buildings, described the shaking beds and rattling windows. Social media instantly lit up with users writing down their ordeal. One user claimed it was nothing like he has ever experienced.
तकरीबन 5:35 पर मुझे ऐसा आवाज़ हुआ कि जैसे किसी ने कोई पूरी बिल्डिंग जोर से हिल गई हो। जब मैं उठ करके बेड पर बैठा तो मैंने देखा कि ऊपर का पंखा हिल रहा था। मैं तुरंत उठा, अपने बीवी बच्चों को लेकर के, मम्मी पापा को लेकर के घर के बाहर आया और फिर इतना तेज भूकंप मैंने अपने जीवन में कभी भी नहीं देखा।
Another vendor said that customers at his shop started screaming. The gravity of the incident even prompted the Prime Minister's response. In a post on X, Prime Minister Narendra Modi urged residents to stay calm and alerted residents of possible aftershocks. Delhi police also issued a statement. They urged residents to contact an emergency for any help. There have been no reports of any casualties, and the earthquake has not caused any extensive damage either. But the question on everybody's mind is, why did this earthquake feel so much stronger than it should have, despite the earthquake's relatively low magnitude? Why was it so much more intense than what people expected?
यहाँ पर छोटा छोटा अर्थक्वेक होता रहता है, तो आप लोग इसको नोटिस नहीं किए हैं, लेकिन ये अर्थक्वेक जो है आपका 4 पॉइंट जो अर्थक्वेक हुआ है वो धौला कुआं में हुआ है, जो आपका जो झील पार्क है, और 2007 में 4.6 मैग्नीट्यूड का अर्थक्वेक वहाँ पर हुआ था। तो इसलिए ये बहुत से अर्थक्वेक 420 अर्थक्वेक 1990 से उस जोन में हो रहा है, और इसलिए इसे कोई नई, इसमें कोई घबराने का नहीं है, ये सेस्मोजेनिक जोन है वहाँ।
Experts say this is because of the depth of its nature. This was a shallow earthquake, meaning its epicenter was very close to the Earth's surface. This caused the ground to shake harder than usual. It was at the depth of 5 kilometers, and hence the effect of the shaking was intense. Another factor for this was Delhi's geographical location. It is in the seismic zone 4, which is a designation that denotes a region's vulnerability to earthquakes. Seismic zones in India are classified from 1 to 5, with Zone 5 being in the high-risk category where earthquakes cause significant damage. Now, the tremors didn't stop at Delhi. Hours later, an earthquake also struck the states of Bihar and Odisha. According to monitors, tremors were felt in the Siwan district of Bihar. Meanwhile, the Puri district in the state of Odisha felt the impact. Delhi is a city that is no stranger to tremors. Several shallow-focused earthquakes have hit the region in the last 2 decades, at least 3 of them in the year 2023 and 2021 alone. While some of these have been mild, others have impacted it significantly. These past earthquakes reveal the seismic risk that Delhi faces. Now, the latest one was a wake-up call in its literal sense for the city. While it wasn't catastrophic, this recent incident is a reminder that Delhi can't ignore its earthquake risks. And shifting focus to Donald Trump-led America's crackdown on illegal immigration. The deported immigrants in the Indian state of Punjab have again accused the Trump administration of inhumane treatment aboard deportation flights. After sending the Indian immigrants in shackles and chains, the latest deportation flights from the US allegedly brought Sikh immigrants without their turbans. Now, the turban is an indispensable symbol of the faith, identity and equality for the Sikh community worldwide. In India, it's a constitutionally protected religious practice. In Canada and the UK, the countries other than India with significant Sikh populations, key policy decisions have been made in recent decades to protect a Sikh person's right to wear a turban. But the Trump administration is being accused of not just ignoring, but denigrating an essential religious practice in the name of crackdown on illegal immigration. Reports citing deported Indians say that the US authorities forced Sikh men to take off their turbans before they were put onto the deportation flights. One deportee even said that the US police threw his turban in the dustbin. The male deportees were allegedly shackled with their legs tied throughout the 36-hour deportation journey. The shackles were reportedly removed just 10 minutes before the flight landed. The SGPC, the highest religious body of Sikhs worldwide, slammed the US government as they accused the country of disrespecting the Sikh faith. The Amritsar-based religious body urged Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government to respond as they called out the development an act against values of humanity.
Our men are being sent back from the United States in handcuffs and feet tied. This is against the values of humanity. Young Sikhs have been deported as culprits without their sacred turbans. This is a matter of indescribable regret. We will reach out to the United States to lodge our protest against the disrespect meted out to sacred turbans of Sikh faith.
The alleged inhumane treatment meted out to Indian deportees has created a political furor both in Punjab state and in New Delhi. Responding to the row, Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government has said that it will convey its objection on the matter to the United States. India, under Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his Foreign Affairs Lieutenant S.J. Shankar, has expressed its opposition to illegal immigration. Standing beside the US President Donald Trump last week in Washington, D.C., Prime Minister Modi even called for war against human trafficking industry. But the alleged disrespect meted out to what is an essential religious practice for tens of millions of Sikhs worldwide has again raised questions on the nature of Trump's immigration crackdown. Is Donald Trump's America sidelining religious sensitivities in the name of taking on illegal immigration? Now, from India, we shift our focus to Saudi Arabia. The West Asian powerhouse, led by Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, is set to become the geopolitical center stage for US President Donald Trump's initiative to end the Russia-Ukraine war. Riyadh is reportedly set to host the US President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin for talks to end the Ukraine war. But before the potential Trump-Putin meet, senior U.S. officials, led by the U.S. Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, have arrived in Saudi Arabia. Now, this is being seen as the most potent initiative so far to end the nearly 4-year-long war in Ukraine. But there is a critical caveat in these peace talks, which America's European allies have flagged. At the moment, neither Ukraine nor Europe has a seat at the table in these negotiations with Russia. Reports citing Ukrainian officials even said that the announcement of peace talks in Saudi Arabia came as a surprise to Kiev. Now, to counter the European exclusion from the Saudi peace talks, French President Emmanuel Macron is convening an emergency summit of European leaders in Paris today. The summit was summit showdown amid Trump-led America's extraordinary push for peace in Ukraine has put the US at loggerheads with its European allies. As the American and Russian negotiators prepare to meet in Saudi Arabia, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky also remains stationed in the region. Zelensky is visiting just across the Saudi border in the UAE. In the latest, the Ukrainian leader is scheduled to visit Saudi Arabia on the 19th of February. Zelensky previously suggested that peace talks in Riyadh were already compromised. Zelensky had said that he will not negotiate with Russia without consulting Ukraine's strategic partners in Europe.
With Russians, with only one Russian guy, with Putin, only after we will have common plan with Trump, Europe, and we will sit with Putin and stop the war. Only in this case I'm ready to meet, not in other compromises platforms.
Amid critical focus on the participants as well as the non-participants of the peace talks, the spotlight is also on Saudi Arabia, which is hosting these negotiations. Saudi Arabia has strong and influential ties with both the United States and Russia. Riyadh previously played a critical role in brokering prisoner exchanges in the Ukraine war. Riyadh and Moscow have also closely coordinated on oil policy through the OPEC Plus grouping amid Western pressure to isolate Moscow. Despite Riyadh's geo-economic proximity with Moscow, the US President Donald Trump has openly lauded Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman for his ambitious development roadmap for the region. In a show of their personal bonhomie, the Crown Prince was the first global leader that Trump called after returning to power last month. Together, these factors make Riyadh an ideal venue for Trump-led peace talks. Saudi Arabia is at the heart of these high-stakes negotiations. Riyadh's place is crucial as the US is not on the same page with its European allies on supposed terms to end the war. Can this Trump-led initiative deliver a breakthrough in ending the war, or will Europe's exclusion undermine its credibility? And the final story tonight is from the United States of America, where there has been a lot of noise around tech billionaire Elon Musk. And this is not the kind of noise you'd expect from his rockets or electric cars. Now, across American cities, people have been rallying against him. They have been taking to the streets, holding placards and banners. This is being called the Tesla takeover movement, and it is gaining momentum. The protests broke out in cities like New York, Seattle, Kansas, and much across California. Groups of people gathered outside Tesla showrooms, and their message was loud and clear: to get rid of Tesla cars, to hurt Musk financially. It was also to oppose his growing influence in Donald Trump's administration. Musk has been central to Trump's election campaign, and his growing connections with far-right groups had angered people. For many, he is not just the CEO of Tesla or the owner of X, he is a powerful figure with the ability to shape government decisions. Currently, he's also the leader of the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, a government division that Trump has formed to ensure smoother operations.
It's unacceptable, unconstitutional, ultra-vires. They've exceeded their authority. And so it's important that attorneys general representing our respective states stand up and enforce the rule of law, because Elon Musk, individuals at the Treasury, and the President of these United States is not above the law.
Musk's increasing political ties are being seen as a threat to democracy, and many protesters believe that he is using his wealth to push agendas without being elected to office. Experts have slammed Musk's leadership of Doge, which has gained access to financial data of millions of Americans. Under Musk's guidance, Doge has been rapidly dismantling federal agencies. It has been laying off workers in mass numbers across the U.S. Now, this aggressive restructuring of the government has raised fears that a lot of power is being vested in the hands of one individual. Some Tesla investors are even questioning whether Musk's political affiliations will hurt the company's sales in liberal areas where Trump's views are widely rejected. Musk's close association with Trump and his spending of over $200 million on the presidential campaign have mounted this collective anger. Now, despite claims from within Tesla that the company is separate from politics, the reality is that Musk's wealth, much of which comes from Tesla's soaring valuation, has funded his political motives. Now, Tesla's shares account for a third of his total wealth, and the rest of the money is from his rocket company SpaceX and other ventures. Now, the wealth has allowed Musk to secure personal loans worth millions. In Germany, Tesla's sales plummeted 60% in January, and many experts say that this is because of Musk's backing of the far-right AfD party. In short, the protests against Musk are rooted against his actions. It stems from a deep fear that his political influence, his support for far-right ideologies, and support for controversial figures are shaping government policies and public institutions. And caught in the crossroads is Tesla, his electric vehicle company that could suffer from the backlash of customers who no longer want to align themselves with his views. And that's all we have on the show for today. We will see you again tomorrow at the same time. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to First Post.
From breaking news to the day's biggest controversies, shedding light on the world's top headlines, detailed analysis on the stories that matter the most to you. Catch it all on Spotlight at 6 p.m. India time and 12:30 GMT, only on First Post.